This meeting of the City of Eureka Springs City Council come to order. Madam Clerk, would you please establish a quorum?
Worker Raphael.
Here.
James DeVito.
Here.
Laney Balance.
I'm here.
Ken Pownall.
Here.
Karen Lindblad. Present. Butch Berry.
Present.
We have 6.
Okay, thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Second.
Made and seconded. Floor is open. Mr. DeVito.
I request an executive session under 11 new business.
Second.
Living new business, okay. Anybody else? Mr. Berry?
I'd like to have for discussion the vacation of Vine Street. There's been some new information come up.
Second.
You would like to what, sir?
Vacation of Vine Street.
You
It's
say-
postponed until after the public hearing.
Yeah, it is postponed. In which the public hearing is now set for July the 25th, 6:30 p.m. upstairs in the courtroom. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you want it to go in the same place as the Vine Street that was postponed until after the hearing, or later?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever the council wants
That'd
to
be
do.
good.
Yeah.
Replace number
So
3.
it's going in number 3. Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Mr. Pano?
For reasons I don't care to go into, number 7, I'd like my name taken off as, it appears that people don't understand that that's just to get it on the agenda, and I've had an awful lot of comments, so I'd like to have my name removed, so if someone else wants to be the second, I'm more than willing.
On new, unfinished?
Unfinished, number 7.
Okay.
I'll be the second.
Okay. Send that second. Also need to drop number 10 under new business. Parks will resubmit at a later date. Anybody else, Mr. Fine?
I have a replacement for number 10, then I'd like a discussion on the audit agreement for 2013, under number 10, new business. And number,
I'll second that.
I don't know which number it is now, if it's 13 or 12. Discussion concerning the sign ordinance.
That's still number 1 on unfinished.
That doesn't have anything to do with,
Didn't do that? What?
Is that, are you talking about the same one as number
No.
1 on the unfinished?
it's a general discussion.
So then is it
You'll have to ask me, and I can hear half of what he's saying.
11 or 12 for the executive session last?
Yeah, let's keep the executive session last.
So executive session is 12, and discussion of sign ordinance is 11.
10's the auditorium, 11's the sign, and 12's the executive session.
Got it.
Any further?
Move to approve as amended.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda's set. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes for June the 25th.
Approve.
Second.
Mr. Pano?
It's a minor correction under approval of minutes. I believe the Motion should be 501 with Mr. Berry abstaining, even though it's still a no. Sorry, and I just caught that. And also, over on page 4, under number 7, second paragraph, states Mr. Pownell motion to have the city attorney review the ordinance for the next agenda. Mr. Raphael seconded. Following discussion, Mr. DeVito moved to assign the ordinance and place it on its first reading. It leaves it at that. It says a vote was taken on Mr. Pownell's initial motion, and that was the end of it. So I haven't had a chance or time to look at the tape, so I don't know if there was any action taken or if that was withdrawn.
That's what you see is exactly what happened.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I didn't understand about what you said about the approval of what?
501 on the approval of the minutes. The way it's written, it appears that someone voted not to approve them, which is abstaining.
Right here. It says motion carried 510 with Mr. Berry abstaining.
Thank you. Got it.
Any further?
Move to approve the amendment as amended.
Is there a second? Made and seconded. It is amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is amended. We'll move into commission committee authority reports. Planning, Beverly, are you going to talk nothing on planning? Okay. CPC, I believe Rick Bright is here to give a financial. Rick, come on up.
I'm Rick Bright. I'm the finance director at the CAPC. I'm here on behalf of Mike Maloney, which is out of town today. We're required by law to give a quarterly report. It's normally just forwarded to the mayor's office, but I guess y'all wanted it in person this month, which is fine. Anytime, just ask. Our total collections through June are $458,818, which is right on track to meet our budget of $1.3 million. Our total income through or the bank balance through June 30th is $61,885.89. Compared to 2011, tax collections are up 16.6%. We feel due to the strong advertising campaign of the CAPC, the city year-to-date sales tax receipts are up 12.3%, which is $81,634 of additional revenue. The state 2% tourism tax receipts for Carroll County are up 11.2% year-to-date, which is $4,084.06 additional revenue. With Carroll County being the fifth largest collector in the state, the 2% tourism tax for the entire state is up 3.2%, showing that Carroll County is much stronger than most. Also attached to your packet there is a profit and loss statement which shows all the expenditures and income categories for the quarter. There's also a report from the state of Arkansas and one from the city that shows the tax income there.
Any questions? Hannah?
Can you answer the question, the $1,000 that CAPC owes the city for the auditorium for 2011 agreement, what the status of that is?
It's paid, and so is 2012.
You know what it was paid under, as far as?
On our end, it's under auditorium expense, but on your end, I'm not sure.
Any further? Ms. Lindblad?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, where you're down here on your media
Yes, ma'am.
ad production expenses, why was so much more spent on the May Fine Arts Festival than anything else here?
That's what's budgeted for May Fine Arts. It's a month-long event rather than a weekend event.
Okay.
Any further? If not, thank you, Rick. Next is hospital report. There's nothing. Parks. Apparently on here there's a little notation of a Conway Spring marker on here that's not on the agenda for discussion. Does anybody recall what that issue is about? Ms. Balance?
I do. On the last on the last communications we had from Parks, it said that there was a request to place a marker at Conway Spring, a limestone marker, and since City Council has management and control of the real and personal property belonging to the city, it would be nice to see that come in front of us just so we could see it and approve it for them, or not approve it, but I can't see that we wouldn't.
Any further? Is that a motion?
A motion to have it come before the City Council, certainly.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second it.
Made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
No. All right. Been a real.
I thought to add something to the agenda, we only needed a motion and a second. And I moved to add it to the agenda, and I got a second.
Okay. Well, if you want to put it on the agenda for discussion, that's fine. Thought you were voting to take care of it now, to have somebody come before you and have Parks come before you, as opposed to putting it on the agenda.
I misunderstood. You must have misunderstood my
I may have.
intention.
That's very possible. I do that a
I
lot.
moved to add it to the agenda.
Okay. And Ms. Lindblad seconded. Okay.
Point of order.
Yes.
It's out of order.
Okay. What does the council want to do? They want to talk about this or not? We'll put it on the agenda. We'll get a motion and a second. Put it on the agenda for discussion at a later time, at a later date. Another event. Can go ahead and talk about your point of order. I don't guess I understand how it's.
We have an agenda setting, or we have it at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Tonight, right now is not the time to set items for the agenda.
Okay. Weaver? What do you recommend on this one, since it's not in order?
If she's not moving to add it to tonight's agenda, which was earlier on, she really should save it for the agenda setting at the end, for next time.
Mr. Pennell?
I concur with that, and if we're going to do that, then let's do it all the time, because every time there's been something discussed and we've moved to put it on the agenda, we do it then, and then we've got to go back and make sure that's done during agenda setting. So let's get real as far as routine. If we're going to do it one time one way, then we get a recommendation from the attorney the next time, do it another way. I'd like to see us do it the same way, and I agree with Mr. DeVito. It ought to be under agenda setting, but it was on the agenda as an item that was being discussed. So I'd just like to see us do it the same way all the time.
Ms. Balance, would you like to change your motion to put it on the next agenda? That way it would be sufficient, I believe.
Certainly. Thank you.
Ms. Lindblad, your second still stay? All right. And it's on the next agenda. Next is HDC, the vote on Dan Hebert. Motion to discuss?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Floor is open, Mr. DeVito.
I move to accept the nomination of Dan Hebert, position 3 on the HDC.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Abstain.
Abstain and a nay.
Who was the abstain?
Myself.
And myself as well.
Okay, I didn't hear that. So we've got 3-3.
Well, 3-1-2, but
Should I break that one? Yes. Next on the agenda, cemetery. Nothing to report. Yellow Bag Research Committee. It's on the agenda for discussion later on. If you want to hold all comments till later on, then we can deal with it during the agenda. Because it could be rather lengthy. What's the council want to do? Now or
Well,
later?
it's on the agenda.
That would be
Okay,
fine.
all right. The Deer Hunt Committee's, I believe it is,
It's on the agenda.
it's on the agenda. Awesome, okay. So if no further under commissions, and we go to public comments. First up is Ms. Kendrick. Step up.
Hello, I'm Christy Kendrick, and I represent Brad Hill. And I've placed some information in your packets, and I want to make one further comment, and that is that the city attorney thinks that perhaps the city may own the street after all. My research indicates that there was an 1885 compromise that was confirmed by United States District Court, which gave all of that property to the Eureka Improvement Company, and that it then filed what was known as the Clayton Survey, which I believe the effect of that would be to dedicate a street easement to the public, but that the fee simple or absolute ownership of the property would remain with the adjoining owners. But the reason this is important is because whether there should be consideration paid for the vacation. And I believe that we do have consideration here in that everyone is dedicating trail easement over their private property. So, does anybody have any questions at this time?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up is Bob Jasinski. Maybe out in the hall. He's here? Okay. How you doing, sir? Please state your name.
Bob Jasinski, Angel Rose Hall, 46 Hillside Avenue, Eureka Springs. I'm here. I'm going to try and be on a positive note, but what I'm going to try and address very shortly is the choosing of the candidate to sit on the vacant chair at the CAPC, and I'd like to address some of the comments that were made at that meeting, not so much of the ones that you have my written complaints about. Number one, there was an argument made that bed and breakfasts are doing well, and therefore they don't need any extra support in the CAPC. We don't have to really worry about them. But the lodging, the motels out in the highway are suffering, so we should have somebody from one of those establishments come in here and sit on the CAPC so that they can give us some input so we can help them out. I would just like to correct the record here. CAPC collects tax. The tax is on lodging and restaurants. There is no tax on wedding. So, for example, our collections for the Angel at Rose Hall are up for the past 2 months. Our income is down. And this is the point I've made till I'm blue in the face. Weddings bring in not only the people that are getting married, they're bringing in their guests. Those guests stay at the lodgings out on the highway because, and let me read you just these 2 sentences from positive TripAdvisor reports. And this deals with the Lookout Lodge, which you might have heard of. And this is an establishment that the Angel sends business to. When people call us up and say, well, you only have 5 rooms and we have 20 guests, do you have a place to recommend? One of our recommendations is go to the wonderful Lookout Lodge. It is very clean, it's a great place, and the owners are fabulous. You'll love it there. And let me read you what they have to say about it. It's so true. My fiance and I went to be in a friend's wedding in Eureka Springs. That's number one. That was June the 18th, June the 15th. My fiance and I recently went to Eureka Springs to check out and finalize our wedding plans. I'm trying to emphasize the simple point. Weddings bring in people. There is nobody, because there is no seat for weddings people on the CAPC whatsoever. We can't appoint somebody to fill an empty wedding slot. But the people that do the weddings, that is the bed and breakfast, are not represented. The bed and breakfasts are not represented, the cabins and the smaller businesses. These are the ones that bring in. We estimate that we bring in between 4,000 and 5,000 people a year walk through the doors at the Angel at Rose Hall. That many. The problem with the motels out in the highway is simple. Any real estate agent can tell you. Location, location, location. You can't move them. As a matter of fact, I spoke with Sonia when I went out there to pick up her rack cards so I could give to our wedding guests. And having spoken with her, she had the same opinion, I assume, that a lot of people might have in this sense. She said, I wish we could pick up the place and move it. You can't solve it by putting somebody on the chair, even if they might have a European background and a different way of looking at things. This is something that does work to bring people into town, and there's no one sitting on the CAPC as of this time that can represent the wedding business. Now, what will bring people in, as you've seen during biker weekends, bar crawls, and bus tours. That's what's going to fill those places. I can tell you right now, if that's what you want, you can have somebody in there, knock off anyone who wants to talk about weddings, put in the bikers, the bar crawls, and the bus tours, and they'll help to fill the motels out in the highway. But is that what you really want, to be represented on this board here? The other thing I wanted to talk about is the number of weddings. It's been represented that the number of weddings are up in Eureka Springs, and as I touched on in my written reports, they're not up, they're down,
Okay.
because you can't go by the licenses.
Sir, your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Susan Misavosh? Did I say it right? I hope.
Miss Savage.
Miss Savage? Okay. Come on in. Hi.
It's regrettable that
Please state your name.
Oh, my name is Susan Misavage, and I live at 46 Hillside Avenue, and I own the Angel at Rose Hall.
Speak up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Kind of.
Okay.
The air conditioner makes it hard to hear.
I'll talk
so
loud.
Please talk louder, yeah.
It's regrettable that I am here. On June the 27th, Mr. Ragsdale addressed the CAPC Commission. He stated that he had some concerns regarding my nomination and that I would not be an appropriate candidate to fill the vacant seat. He adds that he and I engaged in a conversation as to which he described me as negative. He adds that I made inaccurate statements regarding the CAPC and staff. There is no basis for his false and misleading statements against me. My desire to sit on the CAPC was a selfless act to help my community. I believe this vacant seat should be filled by an individual who owns or manages a bed and breakfast, cottage, or cabin. At this time, there is no individual on the CAPC Commission that represents this sector of our community. I've always viewed my relationship with the CAPC as a friendly one. Anytime CAPC officials have requested comp lodging and breakfast for visiting Eureka Springs dignitaries, I've happily complied. Under no circumstances did I deserve Mr. Ragsdale's brutal, false, and slanderous comments against me and my business. Apparently, this is not the first time he has attacked other business owners. January 2012, Miss Jan Grinnell, owner of 5 Ojo Bed and Breakfast, voiced the same concerns regarding the new CAPC website as I did. In reply to Ms. Grinnell's concerns, Mr. Ragsdale states, and I quote, "We'd appreciate the time to get the site working. We can either get the work done or answer your questions and reply to your complaints. You just took up 4 hours of my day yesterday and today researching your complaints and compiling the data necessary to answer your questions. This is the last time I will do so. This type of reaction demonstrates unprofessionalism by a CAPC chairperson who lacks the proper temperament when addressing valid concerns of business tax collectors. I feel Mr. Ragsdale has misused his position and political power in an attempt to publicly humiliate and discredit myself, and in this case, Jan Grinnell. I hope in the future citizens applying for this open commission seat will be treated with mutual respect and dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Joe Zigman. Joe, please state your name, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Joe Zickman. I'd like to put on the record a grievance I have and appreciate the opportunity to do that with regard to an elected official sitting at this table. On June 30th and July 1st, I placed approximately 85 of these flags on property from the lookout on East Mountain to Highway 62. It's just a patriotic gesture, being a Vietnam War veteran, in the hopes that people would appreciate it and stimulate our patriotic behavior. Well, that following Monday, July 2nd, a complaint was registered for this behavior. An individual named Cheryl reported it to Ann Armstrong here, and Ann took it upon herself to do the right thing. She called the chief, and that's what she should have done. My concern is what she did after. The chief and I discussed it. He felt it wasn't a violation of city code, so he just left it the way it was, and this individual took it upon herself, because her interpretation was different, to call my place of employment, speak to effectively my boss, identify herself as a code enforcer, and said that I should cease and desist, remove all the flags. Well, you could shake your head all you want, Ann, but I have people that are ready, willing, and able to back up my story that I'm documenting here at the table. But the bottom line is, you are the city clerk. You have no involvement with law enforcement. You should not call my place of employment, identify yourself as Ann Armstrong, and tell those individuals that I'm behaving in an illegal manner, period. That's inappropriate behavior.
Point of
It's
order.
beyond your
Point
scope.
of order.
No
This
point
is-
of order. No
There's
point
no point
of
of
order.
order
This is a
No point of
personal
order in
attack.
public comment.
This is a
This is
personal
for the
attack
record,
that's going
Mrs.
on
Lindblad.
right now.
He's got 3
This is
minutes
for
to
the
say what he
record.
wants to say.
I'm putting this on the
Even
record.
if it's a personal attack.
It's not a personal
It's not a
attack.
personal
It's citing an experience. If you
There are
want to believe it to
several
be
lies involved.
well,
Go
actually,
ahead.
calling my place of employment is a personal attack when it's outside your scope of your responsibility as an
No
elected
discussion.
official.
Just let the man finish what he's
So
got to say.
I'm just trying
He's
to
got 3
discuss
minutes.
what I feel as a grievance. Individuals can disagree, and that's fine and dandy. But once it's proven that my statements are more accurate, then this city body could be subject to civil action if it is correct, and I have a defamation suit to follow. So I'm just trying to advise this body of my concerns and to air them and document them on record. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. That'll be all the public comment. Next is unfinished business. Number 1, non-conforming off-premises signs is postponed until the sign ordinance is approved. That brings us up to number 2, ordinance 2154, animal-drawn vehicles. This will be the second reading. Motion to discuss.
So moved.
Made and seconded. Floor is open for discussion. Mr. Pownell.
Move we suspend the rules and read ordinance 2154 by title only
Second reading.
on its second reading.
Is there a second? Made and seconded. Aye. Is this going to be a roll call or?
Suspending the rules, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Pownall,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Ms. Balance,
Yes.
Ms. Lindblad,
Yes.
Mr. DeVito,
Yes.
Mr. Raphael.
Yes.
6-0.
Okay. have to read it.
You're right. Ordinance 2154, an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 28 of the Eureka Springs, Arkansas Municipal Code.
Mr. Pano.
Move to approve ordinance 2154 on second reading.
Second.
Roll call. Voice vote? Voice vote?
Just voice.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Berry.
Um,
Go ahead.
I'd like to know, I mean, I'm sure we have, but has the chief of police reviewed all this and found it to be enforceable?
I do not know that. I don't know that he's seen this, other than prior to it all being read the first time.
We have another reading on this, so I'd like to see if we can make sure that he can review this and give us his opinion about the enforceability of it before we approve it for the third reading.
On the third one? On the third vote?
Before the third vote.
Before the third vote? Okay. All right. This will be a roll call. Voice?
This is voice to approve on the second reading.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moves us on to number 3. Limousine ordinance 2155 will be the second reading.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Made and seconded. Floor is open for discussion. Mr. Pownell.
I haven't had time to find out where it's at, but maybe those that helped draft this can tell me. I received a call late this afternoon as I was getting ready to come over here recommending that there was, or mentioning that there was an item left out of the discussion by the committee that to delineate between a limousine and a taxi, that there needs to be an advance notice time period in here, and I don't know where the appropriate place for that would be, but if those that were sitting on the committee could address it before we go any further, I would appreciate it.
Anybody want to jump in? Mr. DeVito.
I need a little more clarification as to advance notice in what regard.
The comment was made that it was, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Comment was made that in the committee that there was a recommendation to delineate between a taxi, which you can just call up and they're there in 5 minutes, hopefully, versus calling a limousine. Normally you've got a well-planned event or whatever the case might be that you just clarify use of the limousine versus a taxi. There should be a time period before. If I decide that I want a limousine to come and pick me up for city council, that I would have to, let's say, call them by 4 o'clock. Either that or I could call the taxi at 10 minutes till 6 and hope I could get here. That was the way it was translated to me, as far as would help delineate between the two different types of
Mr. Vino.
transport.
Sorry.
Well, I think council opted to just go with the one rate of $75 an hour for 1 hour. The Hot Springs ordinance had multiple conditions in there, and I think we just streamlined it down to assigning a per hour for 1 hour at $75, and that there wouldn't have to be a set time period prior to having a limousine. So if you want to pay $75 to come to council in 2 weeks, then you can
Point
call.
of order. It's totally out of line, plus that doesn't even address the question at the table.
Okay, Mr. DeVito can clarify a little more what you're trying to say.
Yes, we discounted the idea of a time period for the limousine.
No, we didn't.
Mr. Berry, you had your hand up.
Well, it's got nothing to do with the question that Mr. Pinal was talking about, but I am concerned after reading the article in the paper. It seems like now what we may have done by and I voted for it and suggested it also, by reducing it to 1 hour as opposed to 2 hours. Now it seemed like the limousine drivers feel like, well, okay, so instead of $5 per person, they're going to charge $7.50, and get around this way of trying to avoid the difference between a taxi and a limo. I think what Mr. Pinnell is trying to do again is trying to establish some limits on the differences between the limousine and the taxi. We certainly have the franchise on the taxis, and I personally think that, I think I made a mistake in voting for the 1 hour and recommending it. So I'd like to see that go back to 2 hours again, to try to make sure that we are going to be able to keep the differences between the taxi and the limos.
Mr. Effian.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think the reason for the 2 hours is to make it a little more enforceable, and that was the point of the whole thing.
Mr. Pennell.
I would love to say, what part of my question do you not understand, but I'm not going to do it. It's not even addressed in the proposed ordinance. What the concern was from the committee member has nothing to do with the minimum number of hours that you can rent the limo for, the dollar amount per hour. It has to do with, you cannot call up and 5 minutes before you want to go somewhere for a party and book a limousine in accordance with the proposed ordinance. They recommended, and it was apparently discussed in the workshops or the committee meetings, I don't know which, that there be a time before to delineate between using a limo service and a taxi service. I'll try to state it again. If I want to pick up the phone and call Mr. White to get me to a meeting or go somewhere, I can do it and he'll be there. If I want to have a limo provide service for a function, to delineate that also would help, to me, would help the limo service, that they have a time period before, let's say they want to have something at 7 o'clock in the evening, that the latest that they could call to make that reservation, as it was given to me, would be, say, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Whatever the time frame is, but it doesn't have anything to do with the minimum time of renting the limo. It has to do with the pre-rental, that it has to be so many hours before the service is provided, to delineate where you just pick up the phone, or I can go out here to this phone on the post out here, and somebody says hello, and I say, who is this? And they say, it's the taxi. That's a little bit different than picking up the phone and calling a limo service and saying, I would like a limo for this evening at 9 o'clock, or I need a limo service at 7 o'clock.
Mr.
How would you even ever possibly enforce that? How is that even enforceable? I think that's maybe where the decision was made to leave that out, because
I just asked the question.
It's pretty unenforceable, and you can call up 5 minutes before your wedding and ask for a limo. You probably won't get it.
Mr. DeVito.
Right, I agree with Mr. Parker. If the point is that a bar owner is going to somehow scam the system and pile 5 guys into a limo at X amount of dollars in order to hit the $75 minimum, he just has to plan ahead an hour and call an hour earlier, so that's not going to work. I have a problem with impeding the ability of a limousine driver to make a living by requiring it to be a 2-hour minimum. If I got married and I want to go drive around for an hour with my new bride, I shouldn't be required to have to book for 2 hours. You've just basically cut a large segment of that limo driver's market out of the picture by requiring a minimum 2-hour rental. I want to go to Thorn Crown. It's not going to take me, much more than an hour to get there or back. But I can't see impeding the ability of a limo driver to make a living by requiring it to be a 2-hour minimum. You know, we can do our best to craft these laws, and until we get them out in the real world, we're not going to determine what's going to work or not. I hesitate spending a whole lot of time reworking this. I'd say we place it on its second reading, get it out in the real world, and find out what the problems are. If there are problems, we'll address them with amendments to the ordinance. But I feel like we've got a good working document right here, and I encourage everybody to go ahead with the second reading.
Do we have a motion on the floor? Motion for a second reading by title only?
Not yet. Not yet.
Is that a motion, Mr.
Just
DeVito?
to open discussion.
Any further discussion? We need a motion for the second reading.
Oh, I'd make a motion.
Okay.
Suspend the rules and put ordinance 2155 on its second reading. By title only.
Second.
Any further discussion on it? All right, I guess it'll be a roll call.
Ms. Lindblad.
No.
Ms. Balance.
I'll abstain. Abstain.
Abstain. Mr. Raphael.
No.
Mr. DeVito.
Yes.
Mr. Berry.
No.
Mr. Pownall.
No.
1 yes, 4 noes, 1 abstain.
Okay. Motion fails.
Okay.
Cindy. Yes, sir.
Point of information.
Go ahead.
With the failure of the second reading, does that kill this ordinance as written?
No. I'm sorry.
Mr. Weaver.
In the past, it's been council's way of doing things that if it failed on one of the 3 votes, that it does fail. There is currently a discussion at the municipal league level of whether that is an accurate statement for the state. So I don't think there is necessarily a clear answer, but it has been council's previous method. If it failed, it fails.
Mr. Berry.
Well, is it appropriate for me to make a motion to amend this ordinance to 2 hours and place it on the second reading?
Second.
At this point, since it has failed to be read, no, I don't think it's appropriate. If it had been read, then you could have amended it. But you are at this point, you've not placing it on a reading. At this point,
Okay.
normally you would continue on with the agenda.
Ms. Linda.
Well, if it's a discussion at the municipal league level, whether this is legal or not, then I don't see why we can't continue ahead if the municipal league hasn't decided on the procedure.
At this point, my understanding of the discussion is that they're looking at changing it, but their rules have still always been that it's over. And they have not made a ruling of whether they're going to recommend it as not.
Ms. Balance.
I'll let Tim talk first, and then I'll see if I still have a question.
Mr. Berry.
Can we put this back on the agenda for a first reading?
You could create a substantially different ordinance and place it on the agenda for a future meeting.
Go ahead, Ms. Linda. Yes. Do you have any further? Okay, go ahead.
To change one's vote, do we bring one up who voted in the negative or the positive? I forget.
To change a vote would be required to be in the opposite of the prevailing party.
Okay.
At this point, the prevailing party was no.
So it's, I'm sorry.
I don't believe you have the ability to.
Okay, so I can't do it.
Wait a minute. Let me think about that.
So James would have to bring it up.
Actually, no. You would. You would
James
have
voted
it.
yes. He didn't vote no. Only one.
it's the person
Somebody in the
negative.
voting majority would have to bring it back up, I believe.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Somebody in the majority.
Yes.
So we were in the majority.
The no majority, yes.
Yes. So you would.
To bring it back up for a vote. How would I do that? I've never done. I don't think we've ever done this too many times.
Normally, it's done at the next meeting, but
Okay.
I think it can be done at this one as well.
No, I don't mind. We'll
Point of
bring it up
order.
at the next meeting.
We have a lengthy agenda tonight. Let's move along.
That's fine.
Just make a motion, put it on the next agenda, deal with it.
Well, at the end of it, I'll put that up at the end of the meeting.
I believe it'd be a motion to reconsider.
We need a motion to get it back on the agenda, otherwise it doesn't go back on since it's failed.
Well, make a motion, we reconsider the vote.
Second?
Made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
actually,
carried.
that probably should be a roll call because
Roll call
that's
vote?
out of the ordinary
Okay.
course.
Go figure. We can do it.
Point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
Fine reconsideration, please. My brain's dead today.
Motion to
Voting on
reconsider
it.
the vote. Ms. Balance?
Yes.
Mr. Pownall?
No.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Ms. Lindblad?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
No.
4 yeses, 2 nos.
Okay. Number 4 has been postponed pending the review. And Mr. Kopke brings us to number 5, Florida Resolution number 600. Motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second.
Floor is open. Mr. Pana.
Make a motion that we send the resolution to the list as developed by the city clerk.
Second?
Made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I have a question.
What's that?
Who will write the accompanying letter?
Pay the city clerk for.
Excuse me?
I think that was called the bus. Bloom, bloom. He said the city clerk can write it. Okay. Next on the agenda is action for participating commissioners. Motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Floor is open.
We had an action requested.
I'm sorry?
We had an action requested, I believe, of the city attorney at the last meeting. Going to look for it in the minutes.
I would ask the council member to restate what you want, and I'll try to respond to it.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Refer to the minutes of the last meeting under page 3, paragraph 7. Motion the city attorney draft applicable changes to each commission title that would mirror the planning commission procedures for consideration by the council, and was seconded by Ms. Lindblad. was also moved to postpone until we had the information that what authority over which commissions that we have. In that case, I move that we postpone this till the next meeting in July.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Postponed. Number 7, CAPC tax issue.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Second.
Floor is open. Ms. Balance.
According to our last minutes, Mr. Weaver agreed to research whether reducing the CAPC tax could be initiated by the council or if the petition must be from the citizens. Have you had the opportunity to research that?
I have looked at it. I believe that the more appropriate would be to be addressed from the citizens. Although I think the council has limited ability if it wanted to change the structure of the CAPC in addition to just the tax. So I don't know if that answers your question directly or not, but we have in the past changed our enabling ordinances that created, and the council has done that on its own initiative. But as far as lowering or raising the tax, that should probably be promulgated by the population.
Any further? If not, we'll move on. Number 8 is discussion of Appendix A revision, ordinance 2156. Be the second read. Motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded. Floor is open.
Move to suspend the rules and read ordinance 2156 on its place. I'm sorry.
By title. Second reading.
Place ordinance 2156 on its second reading by title only.
Second.
Need a roll call.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Pownall?
Yes.
Ms. Balance?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Ms. Lindblad?
Yes.
6-0.
Okay. When you find it, you need it.
Ordinance number 2156, an ordinance amending Appendix A of Chapter 14 of the Eureka Springs Municipal Code.
Mr. Penna.
Move to approve ordinance 2156 on the second reading.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moves us on to number 9.
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Ward map revision, ordinance 2157, be the second read. Okay.
Second.
Second.
Penna.
I move that we suspend the rules and place ordinance 2157 on its second reading by title only.
Second.
Ordinance 2157, an ordinance redistricting the Eureka Springs election wards.
I'm sorry. Can't hear you.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Wait, this is suspended. This will be a roll call.
Yeah, just-
Okay. I think motion carried 6-0. All right. Next is unfinished business is number 10, voting for council members by ward.
We skip number 9?
No, we just did
Just
it.
voted on it.
Oh, the number 9?
No, we
Oh,
just-
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure with my suspending the rules.
Move to discuss.
Second. Floor is open. Mr. DeVito.
Well, I guess I got ahead of myself at the last council meeting and really wasn't paying attention, and I apologize to the citizenry for not being more diligent in protecting their rights. This ordinance, in effect, determines how we as council members are elected. And if there's anything that should go to a vote of the people, it's how they elect their representatives to fulfill their wishes. In the past, we've been willing to put all kinds of different things on the ballot for people to vote on. This is probably the most important thing we could vote on as a citizenry. And we've been voting in this manner as long as anybody can remember. So I don't understand the haste why it has to be on the November ballot. I feel as a representative to the citizens of the community, and I've had a number of discussions which brought me to this point, is that something as important as how they choose their representatives should be up to the people to decide. This is not something that 6 of us sitting here at the table should be deciding, because in effect, it is a conflict of interest for us because it determines how we are elected. And anything so important should go to the people for a vote.
I have had a lot of citizens contact me who have been in favor of this. When I ran for council before, I had people over in Ward 3 and Ward 1 asking me why they were having to vote for people, I mean not 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, asking me why they have to vote for people in 1, because that's not the ward they're in. They said, we don't know these people. They said, we would like to vote for people within our ward. And I've had some people contact me since our last meeting and tell me that, yes, we've done it the other way forever, but that they think it would be a good idea to do it by ward. There have been times when a ward has elected a person out of their ward, and that person has been defeated by votes from other wards, which doesn't seem a very fair thing to me. If the people in Ward 1, for example, the ward I'm in, decide that they want a certain person to be elected from their ward, and that person is defeated by voters in Ward 2 and 3, they don't think that that's a very fair way to go about it. And as it is, I have people say to me all the time, even before I got back on council, they would say, well, I called the representative from my ward